I'm good. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. 'Cause I'm trying to figure out who I am, or who I'm supposed to be. Feel good about where I stand, so I can make the most of me. I'm coming back down from space, a million miles away. There's a lot of love in this place, and I'm just trying to say I'm good. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Been a long time living this way, worrying about what people say. Feeling like I don't fit in, but I won't give up, no I won't give in. Been looking for something more. What you really looking for? Been with you since you were born, since you were born. You're good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. You only live once. I'm good with myself. I'm there for my friends until the very end. You only live once. I'm good with myself. I'm there for my friends until the very end. I wanna see another love revolution. Find a way to be a better person. If we come together like we should, we could all be good. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Living life just like I should. Wouldn't change it if I could. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good.
Good morning. It is a good morning. You are good. I am good. We are good. And it is going to be a good day. Because today and every day, we have swung wide the doors to the presence of God, knowing that Spirit is in this place and in all places and all people. Just as this beautiful September sun has awakened us to a new day, the Spirit of God within awakens us to divine glory. And this glory within and around us is everywhere we look and in every situation we encounter. With our hearts centered in Spirit, we can quiet our thoughts and meditate on the wonder of all of God's creation and our oneness with it. So I invite you now to take a deep breath, become comfortable, and gently release any cares of the day. Because your sole purpose at this moment is to experience the divine. And you begin to do so now as you relax into the sacred time and space at Unity Spiritual Center. Seeing through eyes of oneness, acknowledging our oneness, we at Unity Spiritual Center celebrate and honor people of every culture, of every creed, of every religion, of every race, of every age and every lifestyle, knowing that there are many paths to God, many faces of God, many names for God, but only one God. And that God is expressing through all people in unique, special, and individual ways. As you look at the flame of the candle that we light every Sunday, remember that you too have a flame within. You have a divine flame. Remember that you are an individualized expression of God. We honor the one presence and power of God with Unity's foundation statement, which you will find on the screen behind me in just a second. So please join with me in saying that aloud together. There is only one presence and one power active as the universe and as my life, God the good, omnipotent. We give thanks for our spiritual community and for the beauty of our spiritual center. We give thanks that Unity Spiritual Center is a welcoming, warm, and inclusive community dedicated to studying and putting into practice empowering principles and tools for happiness, health, prosperity, and successful living. We give thanks that with our spiritual teachings, we can create extraordinary lives and a peaceful planet through our relationship with the loving God presence within each one of us and through our relationships with each other. Our vision and the opportunity for each one of us here is that you discover the power within you to create the life of your dreams, that you have peace of mind and deep happiness, that you enjoy joyous and loving relationships with yourself, with spirit, and with others, that you spend your days doing what you love and feel called to do, and most of all, that you know that your life matters, that you make a difference, and that the world is a better place because you're here. If you're visiting us for the first time, and I know a few of you are, you should have received the gift that we like to give out to people who are visiting us for the first time. If you didn't get it, raise your hand, but we do give out those shell lays that has a tag on it that says, just as God has a design for every shell in the sea, God also has a design for your life. We also have information about Unity in general and Unity Spiritual Center in particular. And if you didn't get that packet, please raise your hand and one of the ushers will bring it to you. If you did get it, but you find that you have questions, whether you're visiting us for the first time or have been here many, many, many times, know that I welcome conversations. I'm happy to discuss anything about Unity or anything else that's on your mind. And my contact information is printed on every printed piece that we put out. We also are known for our incredible hospitality spreads, so please do join us in the next room following the service where a wonderful feast will have been prepared, and we'd love to get the chance to know you a little bit better. So please do join us for that. And we pray that you'll feel nourished here by your time with us today, and are so glad that you've chosen to be with us today. So at this time, as we move into the meditative portion of our service and prepare to raise our voices together in song, please do turn off your cell phones or any other electronic devices if you haven't done that already. And I will turn it over to our music director, Michael Hatfield.
And a good morning Today we're going to sing Blessing to the World by Karen Drucker. And the lyrics are very simple, and they just change from you to we to I by the time we're done. You'll see them up there, and I'll give you a little example, and then we'll have at it. Spirit on earth, and who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. We are the heart, we are the hands, we are the voice of Spirit on earth, and who we are, and all we do is a blessing to the world. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of Spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. Just relax for a moment. I'm going to play, and we'll think what these words actually mean. They actually ask you to take responsibility for your surroundings. You help shape it. You help make it. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of Spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world, a blessing to the world. A blessing to the world.
And now, as we continue to get comfortable in our seats and relax even more deeply into this time of worship, prayer, and meditation, let us open our hearts to receive the message of today's daily word. The word for today, or the words for today, are let go, let God. Is there anyone here who would like to read the message? Joy.
Each day brings new adventures in being. Keeping up with the schedule I compile for myself each morning could become a challenge as the day unfolds. Facing challenges and making choices are essential elements in fulfilling the purpose that brings me, a spiritual being, into human form. Every loving choice represents another step toward the transformation of this world into the new dimension that Jesus Christ called the kingdom of heaven. Jesus also said, I can do nothing on my own. John 3:30. And I remember those words as I face every challenge. I gently release fear-based thoughts that crowd my mortal mind and allow the infinite love within me to guide me to my highest good. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not rely on your own insight. That was Proverbs 33.
Thank you, Joy. Unity Spiritual Center is a center of prayer and healing. We have a community prayer box on the back table, and you are always invited to write your prayer requests on the green prayer request slips that are placed in front of that box and place it inside. Right now, why don't we just hold those requests in our hearts? We don't know what they say. We don't know who's represented, but let's just hold them, knowing that they're from members of our community, perhaps about members of our community or their loved ones. Let's just hold those in our heart and minds right now and know that no matter what the circumstances are, divine love and divine order is taking place in each of their lives. We send those prayer requests. We pray on them for 30 days, the prayer team and I, and then we forward them to Silent Unity at Unity's World Headquarters, where they are prayed on for an additional 30 days. And as I mentioned, we have green prayer request forms that are placed near the box, and you are always invited to fill one out and put it within. But we have created a place in our service to make our prayers audible. And this is the time to offer your prayer needs to your spiritual family here so that we can support you and stand with you. So after we sing the introduction to this song together, Michael will lead us through it. You're invited to speak your prayer aloud. And we will answer each prayer request by singing, "Your prayer is my prayer too."
We are connected by the heart. Where do you end? Where do I start? Whatever you feel, I feel too. You're a part of me, I'm a part of you. Your prayer is my prayer too. 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 Your prayer my prayer too. Your prayer is my prayer too. Your prayer is my prayer too. Your prayer is my prayer too.
And we also have a time in our service where we share things that we're thankful for, things that we feel blessed by. So this is your time now to share your Thanksgivings with your spiritual family here.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
We give thanks for this opportunity to bless and to be blessed in spirit. We give thanks for the feelings of peace, of warmth, of connection that fill our hearts and minds right now. We give thanks for the privilege of praying for others in our community, in our nation, and around the world. And we affirm again that no matter what appearances may be, divine order and divine love is everywhere present. At Unity Spiritual Center, your prayer is our prayer too. And so it is. Amen.
Okay. Go ahead, Richard, and put up that first little bit of lyric. There we go. I do feel pretty good. It's actually a good day today. I wrote this song, and it's going to have a little racket that goes along with it. And I noticed that my regular racket maker, Ron, is not here. So there's a few bodies that are sitting out in this audience, and I won't name names or look or point or do anything like that, but I need some help up here. It'll be simple. It's straight up R&B. So if I could get a couple of drummers to walk forward. Now there's someone with a bounce in their step. Now look at that. Okay, see how that is? It's that simple. There's no wrong way to do this, folks. And even if you're terrible, I'm actually going to say this, even if you're terrible, I'm going to mow right over you. So come and have some fun. For you, all of you that are just joining us, there's a whole basket full of stuff here. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Okay. This is a cajon, not to be confused with a Spanish word that sounds a lot like it. All you do is hit it with your hands. Anybody want to try it on? Yes! Go there. Okay. All right. We're getting warm. Okay. And once we get started, it'll all become very painfully clear what you're supposed to do. So nobody worry. And notice our minister is sitting there demurely. With her hands in her lap, clasped just like Emily Post or something. There we go. It's small, it's dainty. There we go. Okay, let's start the thing. I'll start a little groove going. Everybody will figure it out. Well, I feel pretty good and I don't like to brag. Not into complaining, I can't be a drag. But I must admit, there has been a minute when I looked at my life and God wasn't in it. Well, I never exactly said the word, but I'll be darned if God hadn't heard. It felt just like the point of a knife saying, excuse me, dude, get God in your life. Well, I don't beat my own drum, I'm too busy playing. I like to help out, hey, I'm just saying. Sometimes I forget who I should be thanking, that I got what I got and my career ain't tanking. I love my kids, my family too, and there's someone else who pulled me through. I was brought to this church by my lovely wife saying, excuse me, dude, get God in your life. Well, there has been a moment when things got dark. I wasn't sure I'll walk in the park, and I dialed up our fearless leader and said, help me out, man, cause I'm a believer. I crept to the edge and looked over the side. I said to myself, this is no place to hide. Just when you're thinking you've fallen off the track, wham, huh, God's got your back. All right, we're going to shake him down. Everybody shake like crazy. Well, I never exactly said the word, but I'll be darned if God hadn't heard. just like the point of a knife saying, excuse me, dude, get God in your life. That's right. Get him in your life. Come on. Well, I never exactly said the word, but I'll be darned if God hadn't heard. It felt just like the point of a knife saying, excuse me, dude, get God in your life. Shake. Now, wasn't that fun?
Richard? Yeah, Michael can be a really tough act to follow sometimes. This is one of those times. We are talking about, you might have seen the talk title on the slide, we're talking about standing up for all people in our communities and our world. Now, I think that you will agree with me that that's a topic that is so big and wide, it's going to be hard to fully do justice to in just 20 minutes. But I thought I would at least get the conversation started. Some things that I've been thinking about recently, and that gave me pause for reflection. So I am offering them in the hopes that perhaps it will also start your wheels thinking about how to navigate this increasingly complicated world and situations that we find ourselves in. Because certainly we are seeing that this is a time to stand up for our communities and our world. And the first story that I'm going to tell you took place about 3 weeks ago. We went to San Diego to celebrate my birthday early on a long weekend trip around Labor Day. And on one of those days, we decided that we were going to go, at my request, to the International Folk Art Museum that's in Balboa Park. Has anybody been to that? It's a wonderful museum. And on our way, I guess, out of it, we were passing through this long colonnade. And I could hear somebody who was speaking really loudly. And even though at the time I passed, she was saying something that seemed friendly, you could tell from the tone in her voice that it wasn't. And she was saying, well, I hope you have a good day. So clearly, this was somebody who wasn't wishing somebody else a good day. And I looked over at the scenario, and it was a young woman and a dog, and I think she had like 3 kids with her. And the woman she was talking to was a woman who was sitting on the ground who had spread out her blanket and who was selling her wares for sale, different pieces of jewelry and figurines. So I was just upset. I was just kind of rattled that I could hear this happening, but I didn't really know what was going on, and I kept looking back as we kept moving forward. And then my daughter, Chloe, told me what she was saying. And evidently what had happened was that there's the yelling woman and the selling woman. So evidently the yelling woman's dog had defecated near the blanket of the selling woman. And the selling woman, very understandably, got upset. But what happened was the yelling woman took this to a whole different place. And unfortunately, it's a place that we're seeing more and more of these days. And Chloe said that the yelling woman had said to the woman on the ground, I hope another dog defecates, that wasn't the word she said, defecates near you, and I hope you're deported. I was so furious when I heard that. I almost turned around, walked quite a distance back to give that yelling woman a piece of my mind, and in language that probably wouldn't have been terribly ministerial. I was furious. I was livid. was livid. And sadly, I have a feeling that is not a rare occurrence in our world today. But something stopped me. And what it was that I was aware of how much anger I had. I was aware at how fully inflamed I was. And I was aware enough to know that if I had walked back, which I was very tempted to do, and given that yelling woman a piece of my mind, it wouldn't have helped anything. In fact, it probably would have escalated things. So I offer this because we're going to find ourselves in situations like that when we really feel very strongly that we should say something. And what I'm reflecting on and what I want to reflect on with you is that we have to learn how to respond in a way that is going to feed the energy that we want, that is going to be a stand for love rather than a reaction against. Because I think you'll agree, if you watch CNN like I do, every time they have panelists on, every panelist, whether they're on the left or the right, is fully convinced that they are right, and they yell so much and you can't even hear what they're saying. A lot of times those panels just degenerate into nothing but noise. So it's going to be a real spiritual discipline for all of us to learn how to respond to a situation like that in a way that can infuse the situation with more love rather than more anger. And you'll probably remember that the wonderful Dr. Martin Luther King had this famous phrase, which is well worth repeating often these days. He said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only love can do that. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." So that's our call, right? And I wasn't up to the challenge at that moment, so I'm thinking a lot about it. Like, if that happens again, how can I respond in a way that is not going to pour gasoline on that situation, that is not going to be pure anger? And another thing that I think that we, at least I, have to spend some time thinking about is the ways that we create divisions in our lives artificially. And that's why I'm being really specific right now, is because I don't think, if I took a poll and I said, okay, who's against oneness, that anybody would raise their hands, right? We all believe in oneness. We attend a denomination called Unity. Clearly that's part of our value system. Clearly we believe in the oneness of all people. But there's something about that that can be very abstract, isn't there? Sometimes it can be a little theoretical. Like, yeah, in theory, we believe all people are equal, and we believe in oneness, and we want to do the right thing. But sometimes we're not even aware of how we create divisions. And so I want to tell you a story of how it was brought to my attention a way that I was. And this involves my 15-year-old daughter, who I begged to come to church today. I said, "Honey, I'm going to stand up in front of a room of people and tell them how you were right and I was wrong. You're going to want to come to church today." So we were talking in the car yesterday about something. I was expressing a strong opinion about a value that I hold. And I said, and if people don't share this value, I kind of think less of them. And so Chloe, my 15-year-old daughter and future lawyer, said to me, "Well, you can't say that because people are different. And if they don't share that interest or that value, you can't say that they're less than." So, after thinking through this, I realized she had a point, and I said, okay, well, let me rephrase what I said. What I meant to say was, if I find out that people share this particular value or interest, then I think more of them. And she said, okay, well, that's kind of natural. You know, that's natural. Most people do that. If they find out that people share something that they love, then you are going to think more of them. But it was a really interesting, point, I thought, that often we are creating these distinctions and we don't even realize we are. And I think among people who do have a spiritual practice, who are on a spiritual path, we sometimes do it and we don't realize that we are. We find ourselves in some corner of our consciousness thinking, well, people who don't have a spiritual practice are, not as good as people who do. Or whatever it happens to be, we do that. We create distinctions, divisions. And if we're really there and really about oneness, we need to take a look at that. And so I am grateful to my 15-year-old future lawyer and philosopher for pointing out that was a way in which I was separating myself from others. And we do it all the time. I'm not alone, you're not alone. It happens. It's part of the human experience. One time when I have found a really interesting example of this was when I was 16 years old, and I went on an outward bound course in Colorado, and I was literally on a mountain for 3 weeks. I was the youngest you could be to go on an outward bound course. And it was fascinating to me. I must have had some familiarity with the book, The Lord of the Flies. It's a little Lord of the Fly-ish, but I recognized even at that early age how people make hierarchies no matter what kind of group you're in. It is fascinating to watch. So no matter what it is, no matter what the group has come around, people create hierarchies. We just do it. So what I wanted to do by, sharing these stories with you is to get us all thinking about ways in which we might do it. Because anytime there's any kind of separation or division involved, we are not practicing oneness. And it doesn't matter if the thing that you're, judging people for is something laudable, something spiritual. It's still creating a division. And interestingly, what I've noticed, and I'm sure you have too, is that even bringing God into it, like if you say to yourself, well, I value, spiritual practice, I value a spiritual life, even if you try to bring God into it, you're going to find the other side does too. That the other side, whatever the other side is, they're bringing God into it too, and they are just as sure that God is as involved in their decision making as we are about ours. So here's something that's really interesting that I came across, and it's a quotation by Ernest Holmes, who founded religious science. And this is what he said. He said, "Find me one person who is for something and against nothing, who is redeemed enough not to condemn others out of the burden of his soul, and I will find another Savior, another Jesus, and an exalted human being." Isn't that interesting? So he's really commenting on this idea that to condemn nothing, that's kind of where we're going. And that doesn't mean that we don't stand up for things that are morally right. But it does say that let's not let our judgment get in the way and start feeling like we're better than. But of course, there are many things to be against. It's hard not to be against things, against corporate greed, against political greed, against, environments that are being destroyed, against families that are being separated at the border, against religious fanatics who are using terrorism, against politicians who, okay, here's a joke, are just politicians. Or closer to home, a spouse that we have trouble getting along with, a coworker we really can't stand, an adult child who, in our opinion, is making all the totally wrong decisions, in our opinion. So there's that wonderful quote from Lewis Carroll in Alice in Wonderland about thinking impossible things before breakfast. We think, we take a stand against half a dozen things before breakfast, and we're not even aware of it. We just are not even always aware of it. So the invitation is like, what can we take a stand for? What can we take a stand for? It is a different energy than being against something. Don't you feel it in your body? If I say, what are you against? Versus what are you for? And Mother Teresa commented on this when somebody asked her to go to a peace rally or to an anti-war rally. And she said, no, if it's against the war, I don't want to go. But tell me you're having a peace rally, you're going to a peace rally, and that's something I'll attend. So it's a subtle shift, but something to look at. And here's where we get into trouble. And again, it's part of the human condition. Here's where it gets really tough to follow this idea of oneness of all people. It happens when we think we're separate from God. It happens when we think you're separate from God, the other person, whoever that is. And it happens when we think we're separate from each other. So it's really going to take a diligence on our part if we want to be for a world of oneness, before a world of common good, to really discern and mind our own consciousnesses for where we might be creating those separations. I've said it before in here, but it still makes me laugh. There was a wonderful Peanuts cartoon that came out in 1959. I looked it up. It came out in 1959, and it's Linus. And he's like really vehemently saying something to somebody. And what he's saying is, I love mankind. It's people I can't stand. And that's funny. We all laugh at that, right? Because it's so easy in theory. We do love mankind, humankind, personkind. We love people in theory, but it's the day-to-day. It's the individual occasions, and situations that can trip us up. So I just wanted to offer this as food for thought. As I said, this is a big topic. There are many different nuances to it. Not something that we're going to be able to completely put in a nice little box with a nice little bow today. But I wanted to start the conversation and to start the reflection for all of us, because I'll continue to reflect on the two situations I mentioned. But for all of us just to reflect in our own lives, like, where is it in my life that I might be judging someone or feeling better than someone, separating myself from someone, creating a division? Because the fact is, we cannot build a better world unless we've been able to heal those places in ourselves. We just can't. And we see it, ironically, we see it in the balance of power in our own country, right? People get really upset after one administration, and then they vote in another administration of a different party, and then other people are so upset at that party that then they vote in. It really is a cyclical thing. So we really need to take that invitation to see where we might be contributing to that separation and not even be aware of it. And again, to quote Dr. Martin Luther King, who was so wise and gave us so many words of wisdom about this particular situation. He said, all are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. We are all one, he's saying. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. And we're seeing that. I can never be what I ought to be, he said, until you are what you ought to be. And you can never be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be. And what do we want? We want love, and we want justice for all people. So let us be really clear and really disciplined about how we work for that. And then we can create that world that we want. And so it is. Amen. So I'm going to give you a little time in your inner sanctuary. We've just turned down the lights. And I invite you now to take a few slow, deep breaths and just feel held. Such a wonderful feeling, isn't it, to lean back against that chair and know that you're going to be held by it. And maybe it can help you to remember that we're always held by the divine, even when we don't necessarily feel it. And let us remember who we are by singing Holy, Holy, Holy. Starting with we are holy, moving to you are holy, and ending with I am holy.
We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy. You are holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. You are holy. You are holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. You are holy, holy, holy. You are holy. I am holy, holy, holy. I am holy, holy, holy. I am holy, holy, holy. I am holy. I am holy, holy, holy. I am holy, holy, holy. I am holy, holy, holy. I am holy.
So as we go into our inner sanctuary, let us become present and focused and intentional as we begin this time of prayer, knowing that we are present in the kingdom, the queendom of divine ideas, focused on the goodness of God, our source. So let us intend together right now to be immersed in and aligned with all that God is in a consciousness of peace. And as I read a few affirmations, I invite you to embrace these words as if they're your very own. Peace is mine as I still myself in spiritual silence. Silence is my sanctuary. Retreating from habitual thought and action for the refreshment of silence, I am immersed in peace. I am peace. Peace calms my nerves, harmonizes my feelings, and opens my mind. I am peace in this moment of silence. The light of divine wisdom guides my every step. Any question on my mind, any concern in my heart, I now direct to divine wisdom. Wisdom arises as an intelligent signal, and I recognize it as both an answer and as a sense of direction. God is wisdom, and therefore I am wisdom, making wise decisions. Wisdom is my guide as I pray in the silence. My thoughts, words, and actions contribute to a peaceful world. Focused on the great truth of oneness, I think of all people as my sisters and brothers. My thoughts, my words, and my actions encourage and uplift others. I contribute my conviction of one God, one humanity, and one world in silent awe. So as we conclude this session of prayer and return to the day's activities, let us choose to sustain our awareness of truth. Let us will to remain present, focused, and intentional as we brighten the world with the love of God, expressing as peace, as life, as love, and wisdom. And knowing that we can return to that beautiful inner sanctuary of silence at any time, let us begin now to return to our outer sanctuary, perhaps taking another few slow, deep breaths, moving our fingers and our feet, and when we're ready, opening our eyes and coming back to waking consciousness. Unity offers positive, practical, progressive spiritual teachings and tools that honor the universal truth in all religions and respects each individual's right to choose a spiritual path. And here at Unity Spiritual Center, we have an inspiring vision, an exciting mission, and compelling values by which we strive to live. And I invite you to sing them aloud with me. Our vision is centered in God. We co-create a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. Our mission is we are a creative, joy-filled spiritual community dedicated to healing, inspiring, and transforming the lives of all people through prayer, education, and love. And our values are, we are spirit-led, generous with resources, inclusive, joyously creative, and guided by integrity. And in this space, feeling inspired by our vision, mission, and values, feeling enriched by what we've experienced here today and what we're about to experience in the next room. Let us take time now to be a channel for enrichment through our generous tithes and love offerings. Practicing the principle of tithing ourselves as a spiritual community, we will be tithing 10% of the offering collected today to Unity Online Radio and to the West Central region of Unity churches. So let's take a moment now to bless our tithes and love offerings, holding them in our hands or next to our hearts as we say our offertory prayer. As we say our offertory prayer. Thank you. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
All right, since my drummer is passing out amongst you, I'm going to do this and see if I can pull it off without her. Is about needing a friend to see that you need a friend, needing yourself to know that you need a friend, all those things. Father, mother, sister, brother, I'm in trouble like no other. Help me find the strength to make it. Take these blues and help me shake it. Father, mother, sister, brother, I'm in trouble like no other. sister, brother, mother, father. Sorry to be such a bother. Please forgive my frequent calling from the hole in which I'm falling. Sister, brother, mother, father, sorry to be such a bother. 'Cause there ain't no hill that I can't climb. With every step I make it mine. I see the world through God's eyes. I knock my problems down to size. Father, brother, sister, mother, I'll be there when the road gets rougher. If it rains, I'll stand and take it. I'll find my faith and I won't fake it. Father, brother, sister, mother, I'll be here when the road gets rougher. Father, master, brother, sister, when I called I must have missed her. I guess I'll do it on my own. I'm hanging up the telephone. Father, mother, brother, sister, when I called I must have missed her. Father, mother, sister, brother, I'm in trouble like no other. Help me find the strength to make it. Take these blues and help me shake it. Father, mother, sister, brother, I'm in trouble like no other.
Wow, that was nice, Michael. Thank you. We have many, many blessings in our community, so let's give thanks for them right now. Please join with me. Dear God,
We give thanks for the many blessings that are in our church this very moment. We open ourselves to the infinite possibilities that are ours to choose.
we are filled
With a mighty faith that empowers and frees us to live our divine purpose and serve our community with excellence. And so it is.
I have a bunch of announcements that I want to make. First of all, thank those giving service today, including Valerie Hatfield and Kathy Russell, who stood in for an usher. We sure appreciate your service. Brad Felice for setting up the welcome table. I think Sylvia is in there doing children's church volunteering. And I saw Teresa Hernandez and Rosa Bundy. I don't know if Candy's here too, but we want to thank them in advance for what I know is a wonderful hospitality spread. So let's give them a big round of applause. And wanted to let you know that we have officially launched our fall fundraiser. You see the thermometer in the corner. We are going to keep it open through the end of the year. We are setting a bold, audacious goal of raising $15,000 by the end of the year. things that we are going to put it toward are painting the outside of our church, which hasn't been done in about a decade or more. And we're exploring building a labyrinth in our fountain area. There are a bunch of other fun programmatic things that we're thinking about for just offering more to the people who cross our doors. So I hope and pray you will consider donating to this. So far, in just a couple weeks, we have raised $650, so we're very grateful for that. And just know that no donation is too small. Every little bit helps. And if you would like to contribute toward it, you can just put prosperity. That's our affirmation, path to prosperity. You can put that in the memo section of your check or in the online box if you make an online donation. We have the beautiful birdhouses in the back. You've probably seen them. This is another fun fundraiser that we do every year, showcasing the creative talents of our community. So please do bid on those. It's a lot of fun. If you made one and you want to take it home with yourself, then bid on your own. That's perfectly fine. We're going to keep the silent auction open until next week. So you've got 1 week to place those bids. Today, I am going to be doing a creative workshop on making personal affirmation cards. I have space for 1 or 2 more because I did get someone who called in sick. So if you want to come to this, do come see me. It's going to start at 12:45 today. It's going to be upstairs in our art attic. And I'm also launching a painting retreat. So this is particularly geared for women. I'm going to keep the space to just 4 places. It's going to be a weekend retreat, a Saturday from 10 to 5, and then Sunday from 1 to 5. That's going to be October 6th and 7th. It's going to be a very, very special experience for those of you who want to join me in making a vision book, and you'll be creating a picture of your own inner muse. Doesn't matter if you have no art experience. You will be shown a way where the riches that are inside you, the creative riches, will come forward. And so if you're interested in that, please do sign up in the back and join me for that wonderful painting retreat. Next Sunday is our 5th Sunday of the month, and we're going to be holding our usual 5th Sunday event, which is a potluck and an open mic. So please do bring something to share. It's really fun. If you haven't been before, we set the tables up here in the sanctuary, and people can eat while they watch the talent. We have had incredible talent, and it can be anything from just telling a story from your childhood. I think somebody did that one time, sharing poems that either you wrote or that are favorites of yours. I love that Kathy broke the sound barrier by doing a beautiful a cappella rendition of a song. We've had somebody read from a novel in progress before. You could show your artwork if you wanted. But it's a lot of fun, and it's really wonderful to see the incredible spirit and talents of your community. So do join us for that next Sunday. And last but not least, we are starting to sell tickets for our fall concert. It's going to be on Sunday, October 14th at 4 o'clock. This is an annual fundraiser that we hold. It's always an incredible time. Michael is getting a great lineup of people, so it's going to be a soulful celebration. A lot of fun, and we are doing this in memory of Ken Coleman, who, as most of you know, recently made his transition. He was a lover of music, a very beloved member of our community, and a portion of the proceeds are going to be given to his scholarship fund, the fund that he set up at his university. So please do buy tickets. Even if you can't come, we can always give them to others. That's a really lovely way to participate in this wonderful event. Kathy Russell is going to be there. She is our wonderful drummer, dancer, board president, all-around awesome person. And a ticket seller. So if you Great. Thank you so much.
Can I interject?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
If you've never been to the concert, it turns into this dance fest. And this year we're just planning on going right for it. So I have tailored our headliners, so Patrick Merrill will be right out front, and you know he can deliver. And so I've got the right rhythm section. It'll be a lot of fun for your dancing shoes. And so don't worry that we won't be over-godifying it, if that is a word. I just made that up.
Yeah, we're talking Congo lines in the
yes,
sanctuary.
Yes, absolutely. We're talking way too much fun, and so just come and hang out with us. I think you will say, wow, churches do this. Yes, we do. Thank you.
Yes, we do. Thank you, Michael. And with that, we'll bring in the children.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, Mom, there you are. I'm gonna let it shine. Whee! This little light of mine, everybody can sing, come on. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine. Big finish, let it shine.
Hello everyone. So for today we did a quick little activity that it was called, can you guys hold it up to it? My goal for growth is. So we thought this was a good activity since the kids started school. So they're going to share one little thing they wrote on there as their goal. So Alex, you want to share what you came up with?
My goal for growth is trying to get better at writing my A's.
So his goal for writing his A's. Not good yet. And then Adam, you want to show yours? So Adam wants to get better on cutting because he's a little bit slow and he cut out his cactus for practice.
Cactus for practice. I like that.
And then we also wrote a little book, Unstoppable Me, and I got a little tip here. Learn from your mistakes and you'll get strong as you grow. Believe you'll succeed and then make it so.
Well, let's bless our children and their little horses.
Love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the presence of God in you, empowering you to do great things. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is.